Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dijah Alize. If you're new here, if you're not, again, welcome back. Today I will be doing a video on how to get a flawless base, how to get flawless makeup, even if you have blemishes and you don't have perfect skin, because I know I sure don't. If you're interested in watching, just stay tuned and don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe. Hi guys, my name is Dijah Alize. If you're new here, if you're not, welcome back. Today, as you can tell by the title of this video, I will be doing a video on a tutorial on how to get a flawless base, how to get a smooth base, whatever you want to call it, for beginners. If you enjoyed this video or you want to see more from me, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check the description box on all the products that I use. Let's get into it. So as you can tell, I'm wearing a bang wig, so a lot of my face is covered. So in order for you guys to see everything, I'm gonna kind of clip this out of the way. So now that I look extra crazy, let's get into it. So I feel like the key to a good base is usually eyebrows, like surprisingly. But I mean, that's the key to all makeup if we're being honest. So for your brows, you really can use any concealer. I feel like I usually do my eyebrows a little bit backwards. I do my concealer first and then I shape my eyebrows. Now that my eyebrows are concealed, I'm gonna go in with the actual pencil and fill them in, fix my shape. Okay, so I decided to finish my eyebrows off camera, but now that they're done, I'm gonna get into my face. So I feel like the key to a smooth face, even if you do your makeup with a brush, is to then follow up with a sponge because it's gonna get all the lines out and it's gonna be looking flawless, period. So one thing that I like to do, this is just because I have dry skin, of course. So I go in and I put rose water on my face. And I should have honestly done this before I did my eyebrows, but I wasn't thinking. And then I go in with this Maybelline Master Prime. It's a blur and pore minimizing primer. I kind of just put it in the areas that I know my pores are pretty big in, which is usually like on my cheek where my highlight is. And I also want it to be really smooth under my eyes. So that's why you see me going in here. And then I also put it in any area that I'm having blemishes in. Sometimes I'll put it all over, but it just depends on how I feel. And with this primer, you can literally feel like how velvety it makes your skin. So I feel like the most important, has to be the most important thing is knowing your shade, because if you don't know your shade, your face is gonna look off. It's either gonna look gray or it's gonna look too dark, and it's no way for that to look flawless. So I usually go in with my NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop in Deep Sable. This is like a more neutral type foundation. And then I also use a little bit of the matte poreless Maybelline in the color 360 because this is more red. And my undertones actually are pretty red, but like I don't want to look red, you know, like you know how when foundations are too red and then you end up looking darker and no. So I usually mix both on the back of my hand like so, and I just go in with like a drop of each. You don't need too much foundation. Like if you need to add a little more, don't start with a lot. Go in and add a little bit more to wherever you feel like it's not being covered. So I usually start by going in the areas where I'm discolored, which is like around my mouth, and also where I'm having the most blemishes, which is always my cheeks. And you always want to bring it down into your neck so you don't look like you got a mask on. And I use a little for my nose, very little for my forehead, and I go just a little on my forehead. I don't like foundation on my forehead, so I just use whatever is left on the brush. And the same with my eyes. And this is just basically to get it to blend. I usually will put like a brown eyeshadow, but if you don't feel like doing that, you can honestly just use foundation. So as you can see, I don't really swipe unless I'm just trying to get it to move. But other than that, I'm mostly patting it in. Even with a brush, I'm just patting it in. And one other thing to note, my brushes are clean. Now this is one of the rare times that my brushes are clean, because they usually are not, okay? Like, I only wash my brushes, like, I'm not even gonna say it. But once I feel like they're too dirty, that's when I wash. So now that I've went in with a brush, I'm gonna go in with a sponge. And of course, this sponge is damp. So that's a main key. Like, it has to be damp, or either you are just putting a dry like rock on your face, and that's not doing anything. And I basically try to get all the lines out that a brush may have made so that it all looks smooth. Be basically sponging it into my lace. So I would be trying to get it to blend so you can't see it and you don't see a big mark, you know, where you put makeup and where you put your lace in it. But of course, I'm not wearing that today. So now you can see my foundation. It looks flat. You can't really like tell, you know, I feel like you can't tell. Maybe you can, but I feel like you can't. So now I'm gonna go in with my concealer. And I use, as always, the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. And this is because I am dry. But like this concealer, it does have a matte one. I just didn't get that one. It's very thick, so you definitely don't need a lot. Like, I just usually bring a little bit here. I know it may look like a lot, but you know, some people go like down in triangles and down and up, and they feel it like from here to here. You don't need to do all that. Not with this concealer anyway. Go over my mustache, my chin, because again, it's darker in this area. And even with foundation, you can still kind of see it's darker around my mouth. And then I go under my cheekbones. I don't highlight my forehead because I feel like it's unnecessary. I don't really contour my forehead. I just kind of add shadow and add depth, which you will see in just a second. If you want more coverage with your concealer, you definitely want to let it sit. So I have a fan on, and I'm just gonna let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and blend it out. Since this concealer is thick, girl, you don't want to let it sit too long. So I let mine sit about 2 to 3 minutes, and then I go in and blend it out because it will dry down. And once it dries down, it's hard to move. So especially if you're a beginner, I usually start by blending out my concealer from the bottom. I don't go up and move it all around. I try to just get it to stay wherever I have placed it. And I only really want it on my cheeks. Like, I don't want it to be super far down. So as you can see, I'm patting and then I'm moving in a left-right motion, but I'm keeping it controlled. Because you just want coverage. You don't want this to be like all over your face. Sponge is getting a little too much concealer like mine right now. I will dab it onto my hand and then go back in. Since my face is kind of round, I definitely go up. If you have a more narrow face, you may not want to do that. But as y'all can see, my face is getting a little chunky. So I'm going to put it up. And I also dab on the sides of my nose just to get like a natural contour, and I get right up under my eye too. I would have blended out everything else on my face except my cheeks, but since I let it dry down a little bit, I went in and did under my eyes first, and now I'm just gonna quickly blend out my chin. And again, I'm just dabbing it. And as you can see, when I'm doing my cheekbones, I bring it down into my mouth, because you see how you can see this line? That lets me know where I'm gonna contour or bronze, whichever you choose to do. I don't really like contour, but I just use a powder to get shadow in my face. This gives you like a more snatched look. You definitely don't want to spread it. Just tap it down and also make it meet into your under eye concealer. And as you can see, I bring my nose highlight up into my eyebrows and onto my forehead. That's why I don't put highlighter, or concealer I should say, on my forehead, because I'm going to bring out my nose concealer anyway. So now that my concealer is blended out on my face, I usually wouldn't do my under eye first, as I already said, but since I did, before I put my powder on, I'm going to re-blend out under my eyes. So as you can see, I use a brush to do my setting powder. This is because I don't want a lot of powder on my face. I don't want to look caked up. I don't want to look crazy. And I have dry skin, so it's going to look crazy if I put a bunch of powder under my eyes. So the powder I'm using is a mix. So it's a mix of the Nye Topaz Powder and the Makeup Revolution Banana Powder. And this is actually a concealer brush. To be honest, I feel like you can use your makeup brushes for whatever you want to use it for. Like, there's no rules, especially with brushes, because you can use it wherever you want, however you want. But you want your powder to be like smooth and exactly where you want it to be, because you see how it's making my face like even lighter. You don't want that in places you don't want to be light at. And add a little more powder. Be careful with this, because you don't want to end up with flashback. I just want to get the creases under my eyes to be kind of blurred and smoothed out. Now I'm going to go down the bridge of my nose with a little bit. Over my mustache and smile lines. This part you're going to be a little messy with. My chin. Cheekbones. And then what I also do is go over my eyebrows too, because it keeps it a lot more set. And it makes them a little bit lighter if you use a dark powder. So at this point, you should look like a powdered donut. You should look like a lemon powdered donut, depending on what kind of powder you use. This is how you should look. So depending on you, whatever you usually contour with, I know there's like contour palettes, but I've never bought one. So I use this Morphe palette, which is what I always use if you've seen any of my other videos. But if you have not, it is called the 25D Oh Boy palette. I literally don't even know if they are still selling this palette, because I've had it for years. But this is all that I use it for. So basically it's a bunch of browns. And I just like to use this really dark brown here, as you can see is hit pan, and this like chocolate brown right here. And I just swirl my brush into both. And I dab it onto where I want to be contoured. So if you feel like liquid contour or cream contour is a little bit too messy for you, this is a good way to do it. It's gonna look crazy at first because you have like a big line on your face, but once you blend it out, girl, you're gonna look snatched. On my face, as you can tell, I do it on my forehead, on my jawline. You can probably like barely see it on my jawline, on my cheekbones, just to bring back depth. And then I'm gonna pretty much blend it out. Now that I went from ashy to contour, I'm gonna go in with bronzer. This is where you are going to get that nice, like rosy all the time, summer. That's how I like to look all year, summer. Like it's summertime, I'm tanned, I'm cute, even though I haven't even been out the house. So I went in a little bit too much on this side, but don't mind it because I'll show you how to fix it, or it'll fix itself in the end. So this is the bronzer that I use. It is again by Morphe, and it is called the Fantabulous Bronzer Blush Duo Set. Again, everything that I'm using will be in my description box, so be sure to check it out. Wawa has the drinks you need. Notice how I didn't contour my nose. I just go in with bronzer. And I go on the sides and up into my eyebrows. Now, if you like, you can use the brush that you use to bronze your face to dust off your eyebrows. I don't keep the powder on my eyebrows as long as I keep it everywhere else because I don't want it to look crazy. Now I'm going to go in with my blush, and I just use the one that's in this palette already. I just tap into that, tap the excess off, and dab onto my cheeks. Blush depends on how much you like, to be honest. There's, you know, however you like your face to be. I like a lot of blush. And I also dab it on my nose. And I also dab it on my forehead as well. So now it's about time to dust off the extra powder on my face. What's underneath my eyes. And kind of mesh it with everything else that's on your face. So at this point, if your skin type is the same as mine, you're gonna look extra powdery and you're gonna look crazy. What I like to do is spray my face with setting spray. And when I say spray, I mean drown. And then I dab a clean sponge wherever I put my setting powder. So since I put it under my eyes, I'm gonna lightly tap under my eyes. And then lightly tap under the other eye, my nose, my chin, under my cheekbones to kind of clean it up. Mustache. And then if you want, you can go in and kind of like clean up the areas that kind of got lost. Like to me, I feel like my blush and bronzer got a little bit lost. And once I've done that, I've retouched up my face. I go back in and set again. But this time, if you a highlight kind of girl, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But today I'm gonna put on highlighter. So again, because I'm wearing bangs and you're not really gonna see much of my face, I'm just gonna kind of go on my nose, lightly of course, my cheekbones, Wawa has the drinks you need, above my lip, or Cupid's bow, whatever you want to call it. And then if you're extra like me, set again, period. And then I'm gonna come back with eyelashes and my lips done. So See you in a bit. So that brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed watching, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. If you're interested in information on this hair, I did a video that I will link up above, so be sure to check that out. Again, thank you all for watching. If you want more videos like this, please leave a comment below, and see you guys next time.